Hello, this is Maud Briscoe-Renaud, counselor specialized in personal development from maudbr.com. So here I am today to talk about a trend, a trend in our society today, which is all about around the concept of being busy. And I actually have a funny little story to share with you about this. Because ironically, while I recorded this podcast, I had quite a few technical and non-technical issues, which means that this is actually the fourth time I'm recording this podcast. And I really hope that this time it will work. So anyway, because of these issues, I ended up being late each of the days I tried to record it. And I ended up being really busy on these days and in a hurry. And I just thought how ironical that I am doing a podcast on being busy and this happened just then. And certainly it teaches me that I can still learn the lessons of what I am going to, the lessons about what I am going to share today. So I think we can say that busy is the new black. Because it's such a common thing to hear these days. And I want to talk about this because I want to ask the questions, are you freely choosing to be busy? And is being busy really good for you? So I will talk about first, stop a little bit at looking at, what is it in this being busy? And I will share one of my own stories there. Then I will talk about why it's a trend. It's something that is very common in our society today. Then I will talk about what is behind the scene. What does it mean at the psychological level? How is it impacting us? And then I will share with you what tips about what can you do. So I think that we hear all the time, oh, I'm so busy, the time flies, the year has gone through so quickly, and we meet people who are working full-time, volunteering, being parents, helping the family, children with endless list of activities, and so on and so on. And so being busy is really something of our current times. And I would like to share one of my stories. When I was 20, I was a student in Paris at the time. And I remember one time I had a little date with one of my girlfriends. And I had such an agenda for the day, which at the time, I'm quite an active person. And at the time, I was clearly on the verge of being a hyperactive person with a lot of very busy diaries. And anyway, that day I was meeting with my friend, and I had so many things on that day that I actually forgot. So she gives me a call, and I say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And she wasn't very happy. She had quite a few years. She was a bit older than me, and she shared with me this piece of wisdom, and I'm so thankful that she did. She said to me, "Maud, it is not about how many people you see in your day. It's about the quality of the encounter, the quality of the time that you have with them." And I never forgot this advice she gave me, even though she was not too happy at the time. Because I just realized, I thought about it, and I thought, if I'm really honest with myself, all day I've done all these things, I've met all these people, but each time I was actually thinking about the next thing. So was I really present with them? Yeah, I was present, and I was giving a big part of me, but was I really deeply enjoying, embracing the moment and being really present with them? And I had to admit that I wasn't that much. So after that, I really tried to do things differently. And I feel that today we there's the chores, there's the work, there's the friends, there's the different engagements, there's the online activity that is also very time consuming. And I feel that people seem to be busier and busier, despite all the technical helps that technology brings in our life. So why is it such a trend? Well, I think that at the root of it, there is this idea that we have to make the most out of our life. We should make sure that we do not miss on anything. That we need to connect with as many people as we can. We need to experience as many different type of experiences as we can. There's a plethora of offer of things that we can do, activities that we can do, and there's this idea that we should try all of them, and that ends up that we feel like it's almost like we end up being sucked in that speed of things going on, and yeah, time completely flies, and we feel busy all the time. So what is happening behind the scene? What does it mean as a psychological level? Well, first of all, obviously, particularly when being busy starts feeling overwhelming, there's a stress, and we feel that in our body, and that can even lead to disease, to all sorts of imbalances physically. It can impact our relationship, because when we are stressed, and I'm sure you have experienced it, that particularly when we have children, we're less patient, we need hurry up, and then the quality of the relationship suffers a bit. But there is something else, which is much less obvious. But it's that when we are busy, we actually create a vicious circle. Because if we are always doing something, it means we don't have much time to be with ourselves. Just be with ourselves. Not do anything, just be. And being with ourselves is the only way to really fulfill ourselves. What I mean is that we can be with ourselves while being with someone else, and really that's what my friend was talking about, that quality time, being with someone and just really being there and embracing the exchange, receiving and giving to the other, receiving from the other, giving to the other. But that only happens when we slow down. And when we are on a roll, we are not with ourselves. We're just too busy looking at what's next, at all we have to do. And it does create a void in us. It does create, because if we are not with ourselves, we're not truly fulfilling ourselves, and slowly we create a void in us. And what happens is when we have a void, then it's not pleasant, so we try to entertain ourselves, so we actually make ourselves busy. And off we go on this vicious circle. So what can we do? What can you do if you recognize yourself in this? Well, for the ones who are listening to me or used to listen to me, you know that I'm a big advocate about concentrating and focusing on loving ourselves. And this is because if we spend time with ourselves in a loving manner, then we will have no void in ourselves. We won't feel empty. And if we don't feel empty, this opens the gate, or if we feel less empty, this opens the gate to free choices. So, we all have in us a sort of an emptiness, which is why we want to have a role in society, we want to love others, we want to feel loved. This is completely normal. Sometimes if we have been wounded in our past, this emptiness might be feeling bigger than if we haven't. And we might need to be a bit more work to try to sort it out. But anyway, even without having been wounded, we do need on a daily basis to fulfill ourselves. And the most efficient way to fulfill ourselves is to be with ourselves. Actually, if we are doing things to fulfill ourselves externally, but we are not there to receive, it's a waste of time. It doesn't fulfill us. It fulfills us for a very limited amount of time. And I'm sure that, you know, people who have, I don't know, this shopping habit, and they can't help, they go and shop, and a week later or 2 weeks later they still need to go shopping again because there's still that need, and that's because it hasn't really fulfilled them. And I'm sure you know people who have this. So being with ourselves, and this of course can take many, many different forms, and I can refer you here to my series on how to improve your relationship with yourself. There's heaps of tips there. But when we are able to be with ourselves and love ourselves, we open the door to being able to stand back and say, okay, I'm going to freely choose what is nurturing me rather than what is going to be externally make me feel like I'm fulfilling myself. And then we are able to prioritize. Because every single little decision is actually important. And no decision in our day, be it what time we wake up, what we have for breakfast, what time we have lunch, who we say hello to, what do we do tonight, how long we spend talking with our loved ones today, etc., etc. Every single of these decisions is an opportunity for us to live it in a loving manner, in a nurturing manner for ourselves, or not. No act is neutral. And if we slow down and be with ourselves, we have the opportunity to make the decision and choose what's good for us really, and prioritize. And then we can teach this to our children, which is a wonderful tool to have in life. Because it is what is really real freedom, real inner freedom. Real freedom is not about being able to choose between a drink or another, or an activity or another. Real inner freedom is to choose between what nurtures me, what nurtures you, and what doesn't. And in this sense, I think that less is better, and slow is good. So if you like what I shared today, and if what I shared today resonated with you, and if you feel like you would like to explore your own inner freedom, please feel free to give me a call. I'd love to have a 30-minute chat with you. And, well, I'll say you bye for now.